Pathmonk is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmonk to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmonk.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Chris Osborn from Shift HR Compliance Training, Head of Marketing with them. How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm great, Ernesto. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. And well, Chris, I'm sure our listeners are tuning in, wondering what Shift HR Compliance is all about. So let's kick it off with that. In your own words, tell us a little bit more.
Okay. We sell online training solutions to organizations that need or want employee training in various HR compliance spaces. So like our flagship product is the Preventing Workplace Harassment and Discrimination course. There are 7 states in the District of Columbia that mandate employee training on that topic. Hence the compliance tie into what we do. But we have training in a number of other sort of HR-oriented areas. We've got a training course that we just released this past summer, earlier this summer rather, to comply with the California workplace violence prevention mandate. There are a number of states that have legislation pending that may add harassment training requirements for private employers, and there are a number of states that require harassment prevention training for state employees. So it's sort of a niche within a niche, but it's one that is growing. The company, it's an interesting blend of people. I tried to retire at the end of 2022 and just it didn't stick. I didn't really enjoy not doing anything. I ended up doing a couple of consulting contracts with Shift and got to know the people here pretty well. Eventually, the owner reached out and asked me to join the team, and I agreed to do so. I know it may be strange coming from somebody that looks like me, but I really value diversity and equity. This whole company is wired that way. People are really interested in those kind of social issues. We're all interested in having workplaces that are more inclusive, that work better for everybody, that reflect more accurately the communities that we live in and work in. And I value that, always have, and everybody in the company is the same way. So a lot of kindred spirits. So that's been really, really, really fun to be a part of. I'm really enjoying my time here. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's Shift.
Definitely. Okay. So that way then our listeners could get a good understanding they're a Shift, Chris. What would you say then is those key problems you guys like to solve for clients?
Well, the compliance mandates are the big ones. You can get in a lot of trouble if you don't comply. Typically, the states won't come after you to say, show me your training. But if there's a problem and you haven't complied with the requirement mandate, the training mandate, you can be in a lot of trouble. So that's one thing that we do. But more importantly, I think this is just me. Our content is really interactive and engaging. And one of the issues that we can help employers with is employee engagement. One of the worst sort of after effects of a toxic work environment or hostile work environment or harassment claim is the effect it has on employee engagement. It can really be depressing for people to be in that kind of an environment, which pushes productivity down. The content that we built is real modern. It's based upon actual cases and actual complaints about situations. So we're all video based. There's no plug and play kind of stuff. Candidly, a lot of harassment prevention training that's in the marketplace is pretty dull. And that's not the case with the content that Shift. I've been in this industry for over 25 years, and this is some of the best content with the highest production values, the highest quality of content I've ever encountered. So that's it. In addition to helping people comply, we actually can help people make their workplace culture a little more effective and welcoming and help boost employee engagement.
Okay. All right. Interesting. And so then how would somebody then usually find out about HR compliance? Is there a top client acquisition channel for you guys?
A great question. We are really focused primarily on inbound in the marketing team. We're really about inbound marketing. So website, we get a lot of traffic through our paid search campaigns, which then feeds into a whole range of things that happen on the website. We do a lot of email marketing with people that have subscribed, agreed to get emails from us after they've been on the site or something or the like. So those are the two primary channels of pulling people to the site. We do our best to provide value when you come to the site with interesting pieces of content that help answer, the kind of questions that our ideal clients might be asking out there in the marketplace on their buyer's journey towards picking a solution that maybe it's us.
Definitely. Okay. All right. Like that. And so that way then our listeners who are tuned in could go ahead and visit you guys. They could always check you out at Shift, and that's shiftelt.com.
Correct.
Or does the website then play for client acquisition?
Well, we work really hard to convert as much traffic as possible into leads. So you go there to download assets, reports, infographics, things like that aren't necessarily sort of, right at the decision-making point to add a solution, but you can also request a demo of our products on the website. So the website is actually, center to our, lead acquisition and client acquisition efforts. We really work hard to pull people to the site. Like I said, we're working hard to improve the quality of the site and improve the rate at which it converts visitors into leads. That's just an ongoing thing. I think if anybody's happy with the way their site converts, they probably should not be doing this. Everybody should be looking to figure out ways to make it better. We certainly fall into that camp.
Definitely. Okay, awesome. And so then on that note then, Chris, is there any tools or tips or methods that you would recommend to our listeners as far as some website lead generation?
Yeah, there are some things. One, you really can't do this in today's marketplace without a marketing automation platform. You really need to have a way to meet your buyer where they are in their journey, whether they're just in the very early phases or they're actually now to the point where they're, making a decision, the consideration phase. But a marketing automation platform lets you do so much to stay connected to your prospective customers in ways that matter to them. So, for instance, a marketing automation platform might track a visitor and recognize that they've seen the same course page 4 times in the last 3 days. Well, an effective automation associated with that might send them an infographic about that course or that problem. So we really try to connect what the visitors are doing to value. So we become, we really want to be a trusted source. Right? And it's just about impossible to stay that connected without a marketing automation platform. So I think that's crucial. If you've got a good one, and there are a lot of good ones in the market, by the way, but they'll have the ability to post in social or email outreach. You may even be able to build landing pages, which we do in ours. I just think that's an indispensable tool for today's market.
Definitely important. A lot like that. And thanks for that input there for our listeners, right? Because marketing automation, I think it's fairly new, but definitely essential for everybody out there in the marketing world.
Agreed.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit then, Chris, and let's talk about you as a leader. You being the head of marketing there for Shift. What are some key tasks you like to focus on your day-to-day work?
Well, I like snacks and coffee breaks. That just makes me normal for a guy my age, I guess. Well, I've got a really interesting team. Really, I think it's a diverse team. Nobody's my age on my team. Everybody's younger. So probably the most important thing I do on a daily basis is to stay connected to them. We're all remote, which creates its own set of challenges. But in today's world, tools like this, we're not in the same room, but we're in the same virtual space, right? That's the way I, stay in touch with my team. We try to meet at least once a day as a group, typically pretty short. What's going on today? What are you doing? What's the email schedule look like for the rest of the week? What assets do you need help with? Whatever it is. So that's important. I also touch base with my team, on private channels, one-on-one, at least once, maybe twice a day. Just checking in. That's the most important thing that I do on a daily basis is stay close and connected to my team. We're all a small team, and in today's marketing world, as you well know, as we see more and more interesting tools, a lot of AI tools, a lot of other things coming on board, it's difficult to tap into the value, all of that stuff, if people are working in silos or isolated. But if we can stay connected to one another, we can help each other learn and just do a variety of things together. So I do my best to keep my team focused on what we're trying to get accomplished. I remind them frequently of what our objectives are. And I try not to preach to them. That's just so obnoxious, and people used to do that to me, and I just always hated it. But I do my very best to find that balance between being there for them when they need me and giving them too much direction. There's a fine balance in there where you can give people the direction, then the freedom to go, express themselves and make their tasks their own and do things the way they want to do them. And I feel like, the things I do as a leader, that probably is my strongest trait, I guess you'd call it.
Yep, definitely. Okay, awesome. Great to hear that from you, Chris. So, you're talking about, there's a lot of information tools out there. So is there a preferred channel that you like to go with to stay updated with all the trends, strategies, news out there in the marketing world?
Oh gosh, it just makes it, I feel like a bobblehead sometimes. You start thinking about this stuff, you're just like, oh, it's just like pivot all over the place. So I tend to be, my whole life, I've been very curious. So I have a feed that sends me articles and updates from a variety of sources that include sort of business publications. One, like Forbes, Harvard Business Review, and then they're in the HR training space, HR Executive, SHRM, HR.com. There's a whole range of places that have sort of some strategic kind of overview content. And then within the marketing space specifically, good grief, there are really good people doing some really excellent work and some writing out there in the marketplace. So I do my best to follow marketing leaders on LinkedIn, and I try my best to subscribe. Try not to overdo it on newsletter subscriptions, but I do subscribe to a few that I make sure I look at, and that's very helpful. But you just have to, in order to stay up to date, I just don't think you can limit yourself to a single type of channel. You need to be looking at a variety of things. Otherwise, cool stuff's going to be happening. It's going to go right by you.
Yep, definitely would agree with you, right? If you stick with one, you're just kind of shooting yourself in your foot. So definitely look at different options. All right, awesome. Now, let's jump into our next section then here, Chris, which is our rapid fire question rounds. Are you ready for them?
Sure, let's go.
All right. First off then, Chris, is what is the last book that you read?
12 Secrets by Robert Gold.
All right. Interesting book there for our listeners. Good read there. Next up then is, if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
No boundaries? Well, in an odd way, I think AI is eliminating a lot of boundaries. But if I could have one thing today that I don't have, would be an AI tool that would help me engage more directly with website visitors.
Okay, interesting, like that. Yep. All right. Next up then is, if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
Oh man, I tend to not like routine. My whole life I've struggled with structure, so I really avoid repetitive tasks to the extent possible. But I'm in marketing, so data is important. So pulling reports.
Yep, definitely. I think that's a huge right, especially with marketing, right? You got to know exactly the numbers, where everything is going. So, yep, I would agree with you on that. And well, Chris, no doubting your expertise, right? You have a lot of experience in the marketing world, but what would be that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I thought about this a little bit before we started today. I got into marketing in a real backwards sort of way. I didn't take marketing classes in college. I wasn't a marketing major. I didn't come out of a formal marketing department. And I've ended up doing, I'm pretty good at what I do. At least I think. Maybe I'm not, but whatever. I would say to my former self, ignore conventional wisdom. Just throw it in the rubbish bin. It's worthless. Conventional wisdom only gets you as far as like a year or 2 years ago. And marketing is changing so rapidly. You guys know this. I mean, you guys are involved in a really fascinating AI tool. That didn't exist 2 years ago, 3 years ago. These things are happening. That's the norm in marketing today. Rapid change is the norm. So you have to get your head wrapped around that. And if you're paying attention to conventional wisdom, you are shutting yourself off from that kind of rapid change. So ignore the conventional wisdom. Just throw it out.
Definitely. All right. Great. Some great advice there, not just for yourself, but for our listeners. Thanks so much for that, Chris. And well, we are coming to the end of the show today, Chris. But before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. Say someone forgets everything about the interview today. What is that one thing they should remember about Shift?
Well, that we are dedicated to diversity. We believe diversity is not just the right thing to do. We think it's a smart business decision, and we can help organizations manage the complexities that trying to achieve a diverse workforce presents. And we're here to help you out with any of your HR compliance training.
Right. And well, you guys work with partner with organizations of all sizes and industries. So check them out at shiftelt.com. Chris, thank you so much for being on with us today. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm looking forward to our next episode at Pathmonk Presents. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Ernesto, thank you. I had a good time.